there. Welcome to part 4 of the week 3 learning guide for college algebra. I hope you are feeling confident as we work through examples. You're understanding the content. If there's anything that you don't understand, please leave me a comment. It is my intent. I'm happy to clarify, but my goal is to make sure that you understand these concepts so that you can work the problems in your college algebra class. So let's take a look. At the week 3 topics for this video are going to be inequalities and interval notation. Now, before we jump in, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. That way you get a notification every time that a new video is posted. So let's jump in. So look at number 1 here. We are asked to solve this inequality. Now, something I want to let you in on a little secret. We solve inequalities the exact same way we solve equations. So we're going to look at that variable. We're going to ask ourselves, okay, what's happening to x? It's being multiplied by 5. It's being added by 12. So we need to do the opposite of adding 12, which is to subtract 12. Remember, we have to do that from both sides of the equation. That leaves me with 5x is less than negative 6. And then we can divide by 5. So I get x is less than negative 6. Now, I'm going to draw a graph, and it may be a little throwback here to some previous days. You may have done these on a number line. You may remember back in some algebra days where you ask yourself, okay, is it an open circle or a closed circle? Well, because this one does not have the equal to underneath the inequality, it's an open circle. And then you would say, okay, do we shade left or right? And because this is less than, we would shade left. Does that ring any bell for you, having been in an algebra class before or a math class before? Yeah, that's what we do a lot of times. Now, for our purposes, it asks us to write this in interval notation. Well, I like to write the interval notation from the shading. Okay, so look at your shading. It has a beginning point and it has an ending point. You may be going, yeah, but that's not a beginning point, but that's okay. We have to describe this. So if we went all the way out here, that would be negative infinity. And then we put a comma and we tell where the shading ends. Well, it ends at negative 6/5. Now, as a rule of thumb, infinities always get a parentheses. And then negative 6/5, if it is not included, meaning it has an open circle, it gets a parentheses. If it is included, you can see in my notes here, it would get a bracket symbol. But this would be our interval notation for the solution to this inequality. Now, number 2 here asks us to write this back as an inequality. So we're going to write it as, okay, that our solution stays between negative 4 and 5. The 4 is not included, so I won't put the equal underneath it. But the 5 is included, so I'll put the equal to underneath the inequality. So it's very easy to go back and forth between the interval notation and the inequality. All right, look at number 3 then. In your class, you have scores of 90, 85, 87, 93 on your first 4 of 5 tests. What score do you need on the 5th test to get an A? All right, so we've got to average these grades together. Most of us remember averaging means to add them up and divide by the number of tests. So I'm going to add up 90, 85, 87, and 93, and then some 5th test I'm calling X. I'm going to add them up, and I'm going to divide by 5 because there are 5 tests now. And I need this to equal an A of 90. Now, before I add, well, let's go ahead and add so we don't have to carry around all of those numbers. Let's add 90 and 85 and 87 and 93. That would give me 355 plus the X divided by 5 equals 90. Now think about what's happening to X. It's being added by 355 and divide it by 5. So we're going to do the opposite of dividing by 5, which is to multiply by 5. Okay, notice these two cancel. Dividing by 5 and multiplying by 5 cancel. So that leaves me with 355 plus x equals, and then 90 times 5 would give me 450. Now, friends, the only thing left to do, we've got to subtract by this 355 on both sides to get that x has to be 95. We've got to make a 95 on that last test if we want to make an A in the class. Now, number 4 is very similar, but you're going to see a distinct difference. We still have the same 4 tests, but now what score do you need on the 5th test if the 5th test counts twice? So I'm going to set it up very similar. I've got 90 plus 85 plus 87 plus 93 plus 2x now, because that's 5th test, it's going to count twice. And because it counts twice, now I have 6 test grades. I've got 4 here, 5, 6, because I've got to count that one twice. And I want it to equal 90 so that I get an A. Now, we've already added these up together. I've got 355 plus 2x divided by 6 now equals 90. So now I've got to multiply by 6 on both sides. Remember, I multiplied by 5 on both sides before. And that gives me 355 plus 2x equals 540. Now I've got to subtract by 355. And that gives me 2x equals, pulling out my handy dandy calculator here, 540 minus 355 gives me 185. And now I can divide by 2. It shows me I've got to make at least a 92.5 on that 5th test if it's going to count twice. So I hope this helps with part 3 of our week. I'm sorry, this is part 4 of our week 3 learning guide for college algebra. As always, the biggest thanks you can give me is to like and subscribe and share. That way, others can take advantage of some of these learning concepts. If you do need more math help, feel free to connect with me on my social there. I'd love the opportunity to partner with you to help you get through whatever math topics that you're currently working on. Bye for now.